Chapter 10. Asmax, Escher and Arthur, still written by Ben in black ink. When we landed on the deck of Stella's ship, the Time Pirate, Jeremiah swooped among us, saying over and over, "Very well done, very well done." Stella grinned. It was very well done. Jack suddenly shouted, "Mother!" Asmax appeared, looking tall and proud, with her staff in her hand, and Arthur was standing on her shoulder, his yellow head feathers looking very grand indeed. Jeremiah shrieked, "Good work, good work, good work!" I wondered if anyone would ever say, "Oh, shut up," to Jeremiah, but no one ever did. Stella just smiled at him as if he was the loveliest bird in all the world. With his wild zeal for life, maybe he was. Next appeared Escher, his arms up in a victory sign. "What up?" he shouted. "You!" we all shouted as Escher jumped up into the air. Jax beamed at him. "What happened back at Mudfog?" she asked, clearly excited to hear. "To Thievel?" asked Asmax. "To him and to the school," said Jax. "Well, Thievel has been uncovered in the most dreadful of criminal frauds," said Asmax. "Ha!" said Blizzard. "I knew he would be. Stealing children? Not only stealing them, but imprisoning their parents," said Asmax, looking grim. "He was such an evil beast," said Escher. "Those poor children." "Disgusting," said Jax. Said Asmax. "We were so lucky to have this time pirate on our side." Asmax grinned at Stella. "I am skilled at returning lost time," she said loudly, and return it I did. "All the children are safely home with their mothers and fathers," said Asmax, after Stella's brilliant time magic. "Brilliant time magic!" shrieked Jeremiah. Stella straightened her tricorn hat and then adjusted Jeremiah's little hat. "We do what we can," she said, looking proud. "You did exceptionally well," said Asmax. "Exceptionally well," shrieked Jeremiah, followed by "Ah!" "She was brilliant," shouted Solo, putting one arm over Stella and the other over Escher's shoulder. "We were all brilliant," shouted Stella. "We were all brilliant," screeched Jeremiah. I felt my heart swell, looking at Sky. What a wild woman she would grow up to be. Sky grinned at me, looking shy. I don't think she could believe it herself. "So Thievel is in prison?" asked Magal. "He's been tried and found guilty," said Escher. "But he will be offered rehabilitation," said Asmax. "As if that will work," scoffed Blizzard. "We must try, though," said Arthur in a gentle voice, his yellow head feathers shimmering. "Even though we've tried many times," said Angel, "but according to the ancient code of magic, we must try again. So try we shall." "We cannot harm the ancient code," said Magal. "No way," said Blizzard. "Definitely not." As Blizzard spoke, a huge ray of sunshine burst through the Noesis and lit up the Time Pirate. All across its riggings were time fairies. In the sunlight, their tiny faces were lit up like candles, and their smiles gave us all so much hope. Gode, Fun, Godot and Godette linked arms and flew among them, proudly singing a victory song. I can't remember it exactly, but it went something like this. "Hooly ha, hooly ho, hooly ha, hooly ho. We cannot wait, we cannot go, we cannot wait, we cannot go. But when we can, you will know. That when we can, you will know. That life is always full of hope. That life is always full of hope." Over and over they sang it, joined by the massive chorus of tiny time fairy voices, and in the end, all of our voices too, including, of course, Jeremiah. Long after we finished singing, Jeremiah continued to shriek, "Hooly ha, hooly
Holy hope, holy ha, holy hope.
Chapter 10.1 Marescimar. Thank you for your song, said Asmax. It's important always to remember hope. The 4 time fairies bowed long and low and then sat on Magal's wheelchair, clearly in love with the wild half an angel. Like a lift back to Marescimar? Asked Stella.
A lift back to Marescimar?
Shrieked Jeremiah. Of course, shouted Skye, clearly deciding that she might as well start being a bit more wild than usual. Stella lifted her up and spun her around. Well done, my younger self, she said. Well done to both of us. And us, shouted Six and Jem, swooping in. All of us, said Stella, as the 4 of them formed a circle and flew around and around until they were high above the rigging. Jeremiah swooped up to join them, clearly a little jealous of Stella's younger selves, but also intrigued. He spread out his wings and screeched as they continued to spin around and around. I wondered what his story was, but it didn't seem right to ask on that day. While the time pirate sped across the Noesis, Blizzard lay next to me in the rope netting underneath the bowsprit. As we looked up through the Noesis, it was filled with rainbows. You did well, whispered Blizzard. Really? I asked. Well, we met Stella, didn't we? Was that my doing? I asked. Of course, said Blizzard. What about the volcanoes? We could have died. But we didn't. What did they mean then? The Noesis is a wild place, said Blizzard. It knows all things and puts them together in a way that can help us, but if we're cowardly, they can also harm us. You assessed quickly that the volcanoes were dangerous, and you led us to safety. But another person might have caused us all to plummet into the lava. And die? Maybe die, said Blizzard. Maybe we'd have been so terrified at the thought of dying that we'd have been scarred for life. But as it is, here we are, lying on some comfortable netting as we sail through the Noesis on a mighty ship. I allowed all of that to sink in. So the lava was a warning. A reminder, perhaps, said Blizzard. A reminder for Magal and me that the past was dangerous and terrifying. A reminder to you 4 that your lives are far more safe now than they've ever been. And a reminder to keep on with the fight to help others escape the lava of fear, the terror of bullying, and all the nastiness you saw at Mudfog. I shuddered. It was bad. I almost died, said Blizzard. If it wasn't for your bravery, and for that of Magal, I think I might have. I nodded. Magal was brilliant. He always is, said Blizzard. I doubt I can ever repay him. I don't think he wants to be repaid, I said. None of the best people ever do, said Blizzard. They're kind because they cannot be anything else. It's in their nature. A swirling cloud of rainbow Noesis covered the ship, and we were all thrown into fits of laughter. No matter how hard we tried, we could not stop. Blizzard spluttered. This is better than a dungeon. It seemed to me to be the funniest thing I'd ever heard, and as I rolled around on the ship's netting, I would have fallen if it hadn't been for Blizzard holding my trouser leg.